Hello, and welcome to the realm of the Peace God. I've been hearing a lot of theories in the One Piece verse about how Black Blades are made, and how Zoro will very likely be able to achieve this feat as well. I decided to make my own theory as to how I believe Black Blades are made. If this is your first time here, definitely like and subscribe, as I will be posting a lot more theories based on the response to this one. Oh, and there might be spoilers, just to caution the anime only watchers. Without further ado, let's get into it. So according to Mihawk, the world's strongest swordsman in One Piece, any blade can become a black blade. Now we don't see this happen with Mihawk himself, but we see him use a pocket knife against Zoro, who is renowned and known for his vicious style of fighting with a sword, and even Mihawk admits that much. Another instance in which we see this is when Zoro uses a regular knife he was supposed to use to commit seppuku, to strike down the magistrate who was the original slasher, by sending a flying blade attack at him. In chapter 1033 of the manga, I think Zoro actually finally realizes, or at least has an inkling as to what he needs to do in order to make all three blades a black blade. At some point, Zoro commented that a black blade is a blade that will not even bend a millimeter, even if it's stepped on by a dinosaur. Now that is a lot of pressure to put on a sword without it being able to break. Now according to Onimaru, Ryuma, through all his battles, was able to forge his sword into a black blade. Zoro only started using armament haki during the time skip, so it makes sense that neither Wado or Kitetsu are black blades yet. Now the reason why I bring this up is because of the secret that it takes to make a black blade. Now I do subscribe to the belief that all swords have their own spirits and their own wills. I also believe that making a black blade also depends on the wielder's power and their goals, but I do not believe that making a black blade is that complicated. At least nothing as dark as the wielder himself having to die in order to meet the spirit of the sword, or even slaying the spirit of the sword in order to get a black blade. I'm not saying it's easy to make a black blade. I'm just saying it has to be something based in reality. Literally going to hell and back just to get a black blade feels like a stretch even for Oda, but with all the details and nuggets that he has sprinkled into the story, I have come up with a theory that I believe is probably the best way that anybody in the story can achieve a black blade. I don't think anybody has to die in a story in order to get a black blade, I think. So in order to really understand this theory, I believe that we have to keep in mind that Ryuma achieved a black blade through the battles that he fought throughout his life. So I think the way that Ryuma's Shusui was formed is by sending armament into his sword continuously without end throughout his life, even when he was not using his sword. Now I got this idea from another series called Demon Slayer, where Tanjiro, the main character, had to keep breathing into a gourd in order to increase the strength of his lung. So with this, I think having a black blade is kind of like breathing in constant. In order for Tanjiro to reach the next level in his training, in order to gain more strength, he had to keep breathing in a constant state. Now this means whether he's walking, whether he's sleeping, whether he's eating, he always had to keep up the breathing. And this is where I got the idea for the black blade theory. I believe that every blade or sword in the One Piece verse has a threshold, just like every kind of metal has its own heating or boiling point. In order to achieve a black blade, one just needs to surpass this threshold. Now it's possible that every sword grade has its own level that a swordsman needs to surpass. Like the real Wazumonos, the Owazumonos, and Wazumonos all have their own special thresholds. And the higher the grade of the sword, the more the threshold might be. Odin was always doing this, which is why Enma is the way it is. But he did not live long enough to actually make it a black blade. Enma is a glutton for haki, and if you give it anything less than it has come to require, it will drain you of everything you have. Now, with how Odin was using Enma, it's safe to say that it would have became a Black Blade much sooner than Shusui had, since Odin got used to the demands of the sword and even surpassed them by also using Conqueror's haki with them too. Now, from all this, we can surmise that Zoro only needs to keep using Enma at full power in order to get to that threshold that Enma has faster. Now, in doing this, he will not only turn Wado Ichimonji, Kitetsu, and Enma itself into Black Blades, but he will also get stronger in the process since he is sending his full power into the swords at all times. So it will grow his haki potential to even higher levels than it is now. I believe that this is what he had in mind when he said he will get stronger once he got used to Enma's power. Make sure to leave your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe, as there will be more videos on the way. I am Peace God, and I look forward to meeting you in the next video.